Hello, everyone. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Emily.
And we are the hosts of the I Don't Think So podcast, where we decide if we think a conspiracy theory is real or if we really don't think so.
Here at the I Don't Think So podcast, we are affiliated with Flurry Sports, and we present our theories on your favorite place to listen to podcasts every single Wednesday. If you like what you hear, go ahead and share the show, and go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and I always forget the last one at I Don't Think So _EH.
Threads.
Threads. I always want to say Twitch, but I know that's the gaming one.
Yeah.
And we
also,
are not
Twitter
gamers.
is now X.
I fucking forgot about that, and I don't like it.
I think everyone still calls it Twitter, though.
It is what it is. It's Twitter. We're not doing the Elon thing. Sorry, everybody.
It's not X.
But it's not. It's just
that.
Twitter. Sorry, I got excited. Welcome to our season finale.
And our 50th episode.
Yay!
Woo!
It's kind of crazy looking back now, and we're going to be taking a little bit of a break here. We're going to be seeing you guys back again in the first week of October, just to get ourselves a little bit of time to settle, as we have been doing this for like a year now.
Like, this will come out on our year anniversary, too.
Woohoo! Which is kind of crazy. I think both Hannah and I made a note when we agreed to do this with Flurry Sports that we definitely thought, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks, and
We'll see what happens.
we'll see what goes on. So to say we've been doing this for a year now is kind of crazy.
I know. So we decided to kind of take a look back at our first year, our first season, and recap some of our favorites from the year.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, Hannah, but when I was like diving back through the episodes, there were things that I was like, I forgot.
Completely forgot we did
talked
it.
about that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I listed them all 49.
Okay.
And I thought it'd be fun to just quick give you a 5-second synopsis.
I love that. So you should do your 5-second synopsis, and then I did some data of like how many of each type of podcast we did out of our 49. So you do yours, and then I'll do mine.
Oh my gosh. Well, for those of you who've been listening to us since day one, you'll remember our first episode was brought to you by our brothers, Zach and Jake.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Tom Brady potentially being on The Masked Singer. Hannah and I both agreed that absolutely he was going to be on it.
And he wasn't.
And he wasn't.
And then
so
Jake did a theory on the Kentucky Derby.
he did do a theory on the Kentucky Derby that day. What you want to do?
That episode.
But yeah, maybe Tom in the future might be on The Masked Singer, but it certainly wasn't this year. Our second episode was brought to you by Hannah, where we talked about Jack from the Titanic being a time traveler.
Mm-hmm.
Too many T's in that one. And again, I think both of us were like, in the realm of movies, anything is possible.
For sure.
Third episode brought to you by me. We talked about Don Dillinger and the FBI faking his death.
Yep.
Which, to this day, I'm totally behind.
Oh, I agree too. Haven't
Gangsters.
swayed on that.
No. I don't know if a lot of these I've swayed on. I know we live in the world of gray, but I think I said my opinion and I have stuck with it.
I agree. Ask us next year.
Yeah. Fourth episode, we kind of dove into our Twilight phase there. We talked about vampires. Are they real? And isn't it now King? Whoa.
You're welcome.
This is the skin of a killer, Bella. But we talked about good old, well, he was Prince at the time, and now King Charles possibly being a vampire. Still unconfirmed, you know? What are you going to do?
If it's true, you heard it here first.
You heard it. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And we read it somewhere first. So, what are you going to do? Fifth episode was all about Mattress Firm and how there's too many of them, and they absolutely use those stores as a front to launder money.
Mm-hmm.
I have done extensive research since, and when I say extensive research, I've driven past Mattress Firms since then. And I would like to say Still nobody at those stores.
Never.
Never.
Even on their sales.
No. There's a store near us, like a sleep center going out of business, and I never see anybody there.
No.
And I'm like, so you're talking like major deals. What you gonna do?
So their front went under, and that's why they're losing their business.
We just called attention to it, so they're feeling the heat, I'm sure.
Sorry.
Not sorry. Episode 6 is all about mermaids. This is when you came back from your honeymoon.
I think it was before, and then I confirmed after.
You are so right. Yes, we talked about mermaids and the fact that they're totally true. We actually caught a lot of heat for this episode.
Lots of heat, and I still stand firm that the ocean is very big.
It's huge. You can't tell me you know everything that's going on. We've only explored like 20%.
Yeah.
There's whatever.
You can't tell me ever in the history of the earth that there's never been a mermaid, because I disagree with you.
I just think you're wrong. After mermaids, we talked about the Georgia Guidestones and the Satanic Panic.
This is a good episode by you.
Thank you. Did a lot of research on that one.
I feel like you can definitely tell the ones we put a lot of time into researching and the ones that maybe we didn't. But you got good episodes like that out of it, so you're welcome.
You're welcome. The good old Georgia Guidestones, if you don't know, go ahead and look them on up. They are the U.S. version of, I almost called it the Rosetta Stone, and that is not what it's called.
That in the episode.
I did that in the episode, too. The freaking Stonehenge. Jesus. Who knew I didn't get any better since episode 7?
Now that we can just rehash this episode. Does Stonehenge have writing on it?
No.
So
the reason they call it is because it's just stone structure that's like shrouded in a little bit of mystery.
Okay,
because Stonehenge was built, and they don't know
by
who
the
built
aliens.
It. Yes, and the Guidestones are more.
There was like an architect.
There was an architect, but it was more like
mysterious.
Like why is it for? And they really talked
and there was like a front for the money, wasn't there?
Yeah,
like it was like an anonymous donor.
It was an anonymous donor, and the whole point of it was like when an apocalypse happens.
Sure.
There's all these like rules to follow, and they were fucking weird.
In different languages.
Episode 8, we brought it back home and talked about good old Elk Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably being haunted.
I still stand firm with that too.
Oh, yeah. I love how that episode, you were like, you know Elk Lake? And I was like, no. Not like it's the lake I live next to my entire life. What are you going to do?
Also, if anyone was going to know Elk Lake, it'd be you.
Oh,
well, continue.
What are you going to do? Episode 9, we talked about Washington, D.C.'s demon cat and how it's a bad omen if you see the good old demon cat, and how it has led to tragedies since. And I think, again, we both were like, there's probably ghost cats.
Oh, for sure.
Why wouldn't there be? Is it a demon? No.
They
would never. With those paws,
too cute.
Way too cute. Episode 10 was our Halloween episode, our special, where we talked about, was Halloween there for summoning spirits?
Yeah. And I do feel like in some cultures it is.
Oh, yeah. I think it's...
Not like in a bad way,
no.
Just like in a way to connect with your family.
Yeah. Kind of like a Cinco de Mayo a little bit. Nope. Dia de los Muertos. Wrong.
That's
holiday.
what it is.
So sorry.
Not kind of, that's what it is.
That is what it is.
I mean, kind of with Cinco de Mayo. They kind of relate to each other.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Okay, continue.
Anyway. Episode 11, we tried to bring it back to our roots, and I talked about the 1985 NBA draft and how it was rigged, and how since then drafts have looked a little bit differently because of it.
For sure. And
now, if you know anything about sports or listen to any of the other Flurry Sports podcasts, sports are rigged. So, what are you going to do?
They're written. There's a script behind everything.
There's a plan, there's a story, there's a theme.
Yep.
Episode 12 was all about SpongeBob and his characters. 7 deadly sins. And I think both of us were a little like, maybe it fits the bill enough.
It fits. I don't think that was the plan. I think it was just like, what's like character traits we can come up with characters. But I like the idea of it.
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. Episode 13, honestly, I think was one of my favorites that I did present on, was all about Walt Disney and if he is frozen.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about cryogenics in that episode, if you want to take a listen. But is the movie Frozen just a cover-up?
Probably, so that when you Google it, you don't see it.
You don't see it? You have to dig to figure out if he's frozen or not. Episode 14, one of my favorite episodes that you did, was all about reincarnation.
That's one of my favorite episodes. Like, if you want to listen to one that's definitely, like, I did a lot of research for it, so it's kind of long, but I did really, really enjoy that topic. Like, I would revisit that topic in the future with, like, more accounts of reincarnation.
Yeah.
Also, we were playing a game on our family vacation where it was like talking about like I strongly believe or not believe or something.
Oh, yeah.
And Zach said reincarnation. I'm like, I fully believe in reincarnation.
I've been sold. I don't know what's wrong with you.
And he did not
agree.
No, I didn't do it right. But
listen, Zach, you edit these podcasts. I don't know
where my opinion wavers for you.
Confused. But whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
Episode 15 brought us to Willy Wonka being a serial killer.
Oh, yes.
Which, probably. Look
at that velvet coat.
A man wearing a purple top hat has to be a murderer.
And I'm still upset with all of them laying in bed together. And then he's like, oh, I can get up. Tap dances out of bed. Like, Grandpa Joe, you're a weird dude. Okay.
You're an odd man.
Yeah.
Episode 16. This is where we're rounding around. We're right around Christmas.
Yes.
So we talked about Santa Claus.
The Santa Claus clause.
Santa Claus, and how his death was actually faked because Santa really just wanted to get out of it.
Yeah. And you still haven't watched it?
No.
So we're going to watch it this year and we'll update.
We'll give you back updates when we get around Christmas again.
There you go.
Oh. Again, still in our Christmas era. So episode 17 was all about Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, and how his nose was red because of infidelity.
Ooh.
I presented that and forgot we talked about it.
I feel like I remember you doing it, but it feels like it should have been more than 6 months ago.
Yeah, no, I was like, holy shit, I forgot I talked about Rudolph's nose being red due to infidelity of his mother.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really remember why. I just remember us talking about it.
About Rudolph.
Yeah.
God. Episode 18, all about the Polar Express and all of Tom Hanks' characters being hero boys' futures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting one too.
I hate the Polar Express. The movie scares me.
I love that movie
I know you do.
Much. I feel like I don't know anybody that likes that movie besides me.
I like
but
the book.
It's so popular. Like, it is a popular movie. But then, like, my mom doesn't like it because it freaks her out. Zach doesn't like it. It freaks him out. You don't like it. Freaks you out. Like,
I think the hot chocolate scene is a bop and a half.
Hot. Oh, we got it.
Episode 19 was all about Johnny Gosh and his disappearance. He was the second child on the milk carton.
Yes, that was a good episode too.
Thank you. Did a lot of research on that one. And actually kind of listened back to that one today just to
refresh
a little bit. Episode 20 was all about our New Year's conspiracies and things to bring you luck in the new year.
Mm-hmm. And I think we decided we weren't very lucky.
No grapes.
Oops.
We did not freeze or whatever.
Or like bring a suitcase or something.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay, next.
Nailed it, absolutely. Episode 21 was all about the myths and legends of the Wendigo within
that was
indigenous
a good episode
cultures.
Too. Mm-hmm.
I have been terrified ever since after doing that research. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Myself. I can't whistle at night anymore. Episode 22, all about the mummy curse.
Mm-hmm.
I listened back again to that one today just to get a little refresh back in my brain. That was a really good episode you brought. And we talked a lot about karma. And if you are a grave robber under the guise of an archaeologist, you've got what's coming to you.
You deserve to be cursed.
I don't know if it's a mummy curse or if you just fucked with the wrong kind of karma in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But you got it coming to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Episode 28, we stayed with the Egypt theme and talked about how King Tut may or may not have been assassinated.
That was interesting too. I like the theme for us. Ooh.
I think at this point we started really kind of chunking into themes. I say that and these next two are not.
After
Not
this, we
related
stopped.
at all. Because after that, we talked about these smiley face murders.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
That sounds interesting. Like, in real life, I just find this, like, true crime topic very interesting.
Yeah.
And how it continues to be, like, people try to connect it to things still today or whatever.
Yeah. And where I went to college. So it's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 25, we really wanted to steer away from anything, political. So we talked about Jesus Christ and him being
Father?
the Heavenly Father and him possibly being married and having children.
Yeah.
To Mary Magdalene.
Way to
Yes.
mess with your childhood beliefs.
No kidding.
And upbringing.
This next one was all brought by you about some NFL conspiracies and controversies like the Deflategate with Tom Brady,
Mhm.
as well as some other kind of draft-related things.
Trying to pull back in those sports listeners that get tired of our tangents.
Jesus, NFL, about the same. You're welcome.
Holy.
Absolutely. HOLI. Episode 27 was brought to you about the Black Dahlia murders.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of our longer episodes. Listening back to it or looking back in it today, typically we average right around 30 to 35 minutes. That one was closer to 50.
Did I go 2 weeks in a row?
You did, and I don't know why. Maybe I did a thing and Zach didn't like it, so he didn't do it.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Because I did both of those, right?
You did. Those were both yours.
Interesting. Okay.
So my next one was a bit of a bummer with Project Sunshine.
Yeah. Good information for people to know. Bummer.
Bummer of an information to know.
Yeah.
That one was a little bit different because it was a conspiracy theory back in the 60s and it became found out to be true in the 90s. So,
Rough.
yeah. Episode 29 brought to you again by Hannah, and it was all about St. Patrick's Day and things you can do again to be lucky.
I think I just take the holiday episodes.
Like, what are good things to do around this time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was fun. Again, episode 30, we were back on our bullshit of trying to get sports listeners in, and we talked all about St. Omni.
Yes.
Which was a call out from the Flurry Sports podcast. And I think this point in our podcasting career, we were a little bit in a podcast war.
Were we?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was before this.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
I don't know. Around this time, we were either ending it or in the middle of it.
Of the cousin conspiracy?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was earlier.
No, the cousin conspiracy was way in the jump.
That's what I thought. So what
But
was
then
this?
we had the podcast war where we were like taking shots back and forth for a little while.
Oh.
And they were like, you won't do it about St. Omni. And then you did it about St. Omni. Again,
Oh.
2 weeks in a row brought to you by Hannah. I don't know where I was or what I was doing. But bummer on the podcast from Emily. Anyways, episode 31 was all about Queen Elizabeth and the possibility of Queen Elizabeth actually being a man because the real Queen Elizabeth died in childhood.
Yes, and they like stole a kid.
They stole a little boy and said, you are the new Queen Elizabeth.
Another bummer. UK.
No, I had some really bad ones. Dark. Episode 32, the Bermuda Triangle, its existence, and a little bit more about it, which we both agreed. Why don't we talk about the Bermuda Triangle?
We should
anymore?
talk about this more. But also at the same time, like the unreasonable fear I had that this was going to affect my life when I guess I have traveled through
I was
it.
going to say, you went through it.
So once in my 25 years of existence, I have successfully made it through the Bermuda Triangle. Well, twice. Flying there, flying back, I guess.
Look at you. Still here, still with us. Episode 33 was about HAARP, which was the weather control facility up in Alaska.
Yes.
That one I did a lot
Not
of.
AARP.
Not AARP. HARP. Oh, good times. Episode 34 was all about Ong Hat, which was the ghost town in New Jersey.
Yes.
That
was just an interesting read for me as I was researching.
I love ghost towns. I think they're so fascinating. So that was a good one. Episode 35 was all about the Fresno Nightcrawler.
I still have nightmares from the photos.
From the photos and the videos. Those are up on our Twitter if you are interested in watching them.
I don't think so. _EH.
There you are. A little bit creepy. A little bit. More of a cryptid again.
They're terrifying.
They weren't fun. Episode 36 was when we talked about the Kentucky Derby. And all of the horse deaths that happened.
The current one. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is crazy to me that 36 was that long ago. But
also, I feel like not a ton came out from it.
No, it kind of just got talked about for a little bit and then swept back under the rug.
Should do an update on that maybe in the next season.
We should talk about that again. Maybe we should stop killing horses.
Here at the Flurry Sports podcast. Or not Flurry Sports. Yeah, I don't think so podcast. We strongly agree. Do not kill horses.
Maybe we should tone it down.
Yeah.
Episode 37, we played a little game of Dead or Alive.
That was really fun. I liked that.
Thank you. Talking about Elvis, Michael Jackson, Avril Lavigne.
Love.
You know, are they dead or are they alive? Most of them, I think we said alive. No.
I think we agreed with what we thought it was supposed to be. Like Elvis, dead. Avril Lavigne, alive. Kind of thing.
Jackson, dead. Yeah. Yep. Episode 38, Hannah did all by her lonesome and talked about the Yellowstone volcano and its possible eruption coming soon.
Yep. But you made it back safe and sound.
I'm still here, and I think it hasn't erupted.
There you go.
So far, so good. Episode 39, all about the Lost Dutchman's gold mine out in the Black Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 40, Mount Rushmore and the secret vault that lies behind.
Uh-huh.
We kind of got in a little track here again.
Yeah, your vacation.
My vacation. Episode 41, Hannah could not make it, so Jake and I talked all about Vanderpump Rules and how Lisa Vanderpump actually coordinated the Tom Sandoval scandal.
Ooh. Scandival.
That was officially our longest episode because Jake talked a lot.
Are we surprised?
No. I have a lot to say, which is fine. Episode 42 was all related to The Simpsons and how their ability to predict the future. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a neat one. Episode 43. This is kind of this little chunk here we got on our TV movie bit. So episode 43, we talked about Coraline and if she actually made it out.
Mm-hmm. Scary.
Creepy. What you gonna do? Episode 44, setting Aladdin in the far future.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, love Robin Williams.
Same.
Gone too soon. Episode 45 was all about Phantom Time and how Julius Caesar actually just fast forwarded it because he could.
Fun.
What you gonna do? Episode 46, anime characters are built and structured to look like cats.
Because they're cute.
So they're cute in their eyes and their face structures. Episode 47, we talked about conspiracies that were at one time conspiracies and then turned out to be true, such as John Lennon being an FBI wanted.
Yep.
That's a fun one. That was one, again, where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's just look up true ones. Episode 48, we talked kind of a lot about UFOs.
And aliens.
Mm-hmm. And specifically the Las Vegas UFO and whether it really crashed or what the hell was going on with it or where all these remains were going.
And we had a special guest, Dan. Bloody Dan. Daniel.
What you want to call him. He was here for that. Episode 49, our last conspiracy of the season, and this episode obviously, was all about the Beatles and if they were kind of faked and if they were used for some mind control.
Ooh. So if you're keeping track at home, that is 49 different theories. And we didn't plan this out, but Emily did a great breakdown for us of each one in order. And I did a breakdown just like statistically of like how many of each kind of podcast we did. So I kind of split them up into different genres. The first one being like pop culture theories. Yeah. And that actually was the most, with 13 out of 49 episodes kind of falling in this like pop culture theory with like the Jack from the Titanic. I kind of put the movie ones in there like Willy Wonka, Santa Claus, Rudolph, Polar Express. And then I also talked about different celebrities in there, like the Dead or Alive game I put in there, the Scandival, Simpsons, Aladdin, the Beatles, Mind Control, all of that kind of fell in that one.
Nice.
One of our lower ones was sports.
Shocked.
With 5 out of our 49 episodes.
You know what? That's higher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and like one of them was from Zach and Jake. And then, but we also did the NBA draft, the NFL Conspiracies, St. Omni, and the Kentucky Derby. Another lower one was like past news stories. So I put like more true crime episodes in there along with the mattress firm thing because it's been like on the news of like are people laundering money. We also had 5 out of 49 being creatures I put. So our vampires, mermaids, demon cat, wendigo, and the nightcrawler. 7 out of 49 episodes was about different locations.
Oh,
so I included like the Georgia Guidestones, Elk Lake, Abbey, Bermuda Triangle, Ongstad, New Jersey, the gold mine, Mount Rushmore, all of that.
Sure.
3 out of 49 were holidays, and I think they're all done by me. We did Halloween, New Year's, and St. Patrick's Day. So maybe we can come up with some different holidays this year. And then the last one, which is our second bigger category, was just like general popular theories.
Sure.
So like reincarnation, mummy curse, King Tut, Project Sunshine, Queen Elizabeth, like the conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. And I put our aliens in there as well.
Yeah.
In our episode, we actually had 3 different episodes with guests. The first one being Zach and Jake. And then the second one being when Jake co-hosted. And then our most recent one being when Dan was coming on. And Dan had some really funny quotes in there.
Oh, good.
And so I just I just had to include this one quote when we were talking about our absolutely nots. And I did like my Am I the Asshole bit.
Yes.
And he was like talking about like how if you should like apologize or not. And like how you nicely tell someone to like fuck off pretty much. And so like this is the quote I wrote down. In Bloody Mary talk, if someone made you a shitty Bloody Mary or if a bartender made you a fucking shitty drink, you would go up and say, make me a new one? No. You would drink it and then you would go up there and say, hey, bucko, maybe a little less sea salt. I don't know. A little less lime? I would say it in a nice way. Like, a little less salt or a little less pepper. You never know. I'm just saying, coming up with the nosy bitch hair flip, walk away, well, okay, not going to happen. And then later in that episode, we were like talking about the chick again. He goes, I don't know. Maybe he's a model. We don't know. And then Emily said, she just said he works in finance. And Dan goes, I meant maybe he's a good-looking dude, Emily. It was like, jeez. It was just a lot of energy at the end, especially for how late at night we recorded it.
We did it late that night. Usually we're not late night people. We're kind of early to bed, early to rise folks at this point in our lives.
Yeah.
And so it was just very funny that he was like, you know what I would tell the bartender? Maybe a little less salt, bucko.
Hey, bucko. And then once we get into absolutely nots, I'll bring up his absolutely not. Because I have some of my favorites, and then I included Dan's because I thought it was funny.
So for those of you who've been following us for a little bit of time, Absolutely Not was a segment brought to you by Hannah, and it first appeared in episode 20.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What the heck were we doing?
So prior to that, for a few episodes at the Jump, we were doing Cousin Conspiracies, where Hannah and I talked about conspiracies kind of within our own lives, and a lot of them had to do with our brothers, Jake and Zach.
Mm-hmm.
One of which was that Jake didn't actually have a job.
I forgot about that. Sorry, Jake.
That he faked phone calls all the time to get out of the podcast.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I think we said the same thing about Zach, too.
What do you actually do?
We're like, what are you going to do? No, that actually petered out pretty quickly on us. A lot of our conspiracies were just running the entire duration of our episode. And then episode 20 came, and we decided we wanted a new segment to discuss things that we felt very passionately about, especially when the title of our podcast is I Don't Think So. So our Absolutely Not segment was born. Hannah brought 3 things up to the show that day, and I brought one. Hannah, do you remember any of those?
See, okay, the problem is I just wrote down my favorite Absolutely Nots that I've had, but I don't know what episode they're in.
That's all right.
So we can talk about them as we go through. What do you...
So I did not write all of our Absolutely Nots down.
Okay.
But I got from like 20 to 29.
Okay.
But episode 20, you started us off with our very first Absolutely Not being slurping.
I still hate it.
You talked about a story of a woman on a plane next to
Oh my God. I have nightmares about this woman slurping her cup of water. It was awful. And eating her sandwich and smacking her lips.
for sticky buns.
Oh my God.
So that was our very first conspiracy theory. We laughed really hard about that one.
I still hate it.
Next up, you talked about coughing without covering your mouth.
Ew, yes.
And we discussed a story of a grown human who coughs like a 3-year-old as if she has no idea that this cough is coming on. And it's like, what is wrong with you? You are not a toddler. Cover your mouth. And your third one was opening food in the grocery store before you pay for it.
That's what I wrote down. I still hate it. I literally just watched a TikTok of like a celebrity going grocery shopping with his child. And he's like, haha, he ate all the blackberries before we even got up to the counter. And I'm like, I hate that.
No.
Give your kid a snack before you go, or bring them a snack. Don't just give them stuff you haven't paid for.
Because again, we talked about like, what if your card declines? What if you forgot your wallet at home? What if you da-da-da-da-da? And now it's like, well, sorry. That one, I told the story of the man who would come into Menards
and sit on the chairs.
And sit on the chairs, kick his shoes off, and eat an entire like 3-sleeve thing of cookies. And then that led into my very first Absolutely Not, which was playing a video on full volume in public. That's what that man did. And you discussed the story of a man at Savers who, after his shift, would not go home. He'd sit in the
lunchroom and play his videos. It's awful.
Mm-hmm. So honestly, the Absolutely Not became a section of our conspiracy theory videos that we really enjoyed, and I think a lot of people who listened really enjoyed. We got to talk a lot about our stupid life stories that irritated us and annoyed us.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, as you know, it came back, and it's kind of changed a little bit since then. Now, a lot of the times we do Am I the Asshole stories that lead into our Absolutely Nots. Our next one, the one I brought up first, was I hate when you only have a few more chips left in the Pringle can and you have to dive your hand in there.
It's just humiliating.
It is humiliating. And we talk about, I'm not tipping the can over. And now you see those tattoos that are like the one line around and they're like, oh, that's where your arm can get to in a Pringles can. Oh, I giggle. You discussed soul patches in that one.
Gross.
I then talked about cat farts.
Ew.
I know. And you talked about how you do everything you can to not be a Karen. But sometimes customer service folks just don't help.
Yeah.
That was your donut story with the kids and Duncan and having to drive around.
Oh my gosh.
Times.
Yeah.
Is this re-triggering for you?
Kind of. There's things that I've forgotten about, and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot how upset I was.
Mm-hmm. Episode 22, we discussed snowbanks on the edge of roads because at the time I was living in the cities and there's just nowhere to fucking put snow. And honestly, in the country, still sucks.
Yeah.
You discussed cutting in line.
I have that written down as one that still bothers me. We are not children. You understand how a line works. Stop fucking cutting.
I also would just like to note the way you said it. It was you just were like cutting, and I was like paper, or I'm like yourself. What are you?
Whoa,
where are we going? And you're like, no, in line, and I was like, oh, no.
It bothers me still.
Got it. It's a good one. It's an Absolutely Not to this day. You discussed about how also grocery carts in the store need to come with you. Don't just leave them
in the middle of the road. People are just so indecent constantly.
Indecent?
They are. Not decent. Indecent.
Sounds like they're naked.
That too.
And then my last one was pencil sharpeners, because at the time I was working in a nursing home and had to sharpen pencils. And I would have to go to war with the pencil sharpener because it would suck in my pencil and then eat about 4 inches of it before I had to put like...
Do you have an electric one?
Yes, we talked about this. You have the same one where you put it in and it sucks it in and then it sharpens it. And once it registers that it's sharp enough, it spits it back out at you. And those are fine, except for then when it breaks, it just keeps sharpening it. And so then I end up with a nub. And so then I'm like dropping up people's elbow on this.
See, my pencil sharpener in my classroom broke at the end of the year, and then it just wouldn't sharpen at all. I cried. Literally, I cried because the electric pencil sharpener stopped working. And I'm like, okay, we have got 2 weeks left of school. Don't break your pencil because I'm not buying a new one.
Episode 23, we discussed about Renter's Beige and how I was annoyed.
Oh, the paint?
Yes, the fucking paint color, and how I was annoyed because I'm going to have to figure out how to patch a hole, and I can't just paint it white because this isn't fucking white, but it's not tan, it's not eggshell, it's not anything. It's just this odd beige. Apparently I'm still heated about it. Who knew?
Paint.
And yours was the broad definition of construction.
I remember talking about how I don't like when you drive and the road is uneven.
Yep.
It stresses me out.
We also talked about how construction workers stand far too close to the edge of the road and you feel like you're going to mow them over.
Yeah.
Or when there's concrete barriers on both sides of you
that
you feel like you're going to just...
Dan almost took out a cone last night when we were driving back from a concert, and I'm like, get over! He's like, I'm fine. We're like 5 minutes from home.
Oh.
I'm like, if we dent my car at 12:30 in the morning, I'd be really upset.
Oh my God. Episode 24, we started it by talking about people who are one-uppers.
Still hate them. You still suck.
We went on a rant of what I said was, I hate when someone asks me a question and then they interrupt me when I'm trying to answer it. And with that, I then answer and they tell me they don't believe me or they disagree. That one is one that like has resonated so wholly with me.
Mm-hmm. Or like you'll be like, how are you doing? And you're like, start to go and you're like, actually I'm great too. And it's like, I didn't ask.
Like, don't ask me. I think the example I gave was like somebody at work had asked me how I did my hair because they always want to do their hair like that. And I just was like, oh, so you just take, and they're like, my daughter sometimes does her hair like that. And I was like, why did you ask me? Google it. Ask your fucking daughter. I don't know. Fuck you. You don't get to know anymore. We then talked about Facebook fights and how you
poor grammar.
Walk the line because when you have poor grammar, I'm just not going to believe you. But also now we talk about, I kind of like to see it. I like the drama.
It is interesting. I like the drama of it. Or Emily and I have been in a kick of like sending people's posts back and forth that are just ridiculous. Like I like the drama of it, but it's like you didn't need to lay it on the line like how crazy you are.
Oh no. That's for everybody to see.
Forever.
And my last one was light bulbs that day. We talked a lot about soft white, bright light, daylight, warm white, vintage. And apparently we talked about light bulbs for a lot longer than I think we were prepared to.
Too long. We're sorry.
You're welcome. For those who have never felt seen in their disdain for light bulbs, you're seen. You're welcome.
By the light.
Episode 25 was all about taking credit when you did not need to take credit or you did nothing to take credit.
I just say, going back after summer break, I feel that one. I feel that one, and it's rough. But, we're making do.
We're trugging along. We're keeping it up. And then mine was monthly contacts. And it was at this point in time where I really needed to make a contact appointment. And I just didn't want to. And also, then when I did, the lady, my optometrist, was like, I don't think I've ever seen contacts this gross. And I was like, oh, well.
Call me out tomorrow.
I was just like, fuck you. I'm doing my best. Finally, episode 26, we talked about Rihanna's concert. And it wasn't necessarily our absolutely not. We talked a lot about how she had grabbed her butt at one point in the concert.
Oh, the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
Okay. Like when did we go to a Rihanna concert?
Never. I would have loved.
Right?
Yes,
and how people are upset about like her sexualizing herself, but they don't get upset when men sexualize themselves. And to which I say, you suck. Anything else?
Retweet.
Sorry, was that a little aggressive?
And then that episode was nail polish because I was in a kick of trying to paint my nails and just not going to get them done.
Is this when we started our gel adventure?
Yes.
Wow. And now look at us again. We've got our acrylics.
Acrylics and dips on. What are you gonna do? I hate it. Episode 27, we talked a lot about Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber's drama.
Oh.
And our absolutely not was high school mean girl behavior.
Yeah. You still suck.
You still suck. My absolutely not was my cat Milo.
And he's still with you.
Still with me.
Is he still your absolutely not?
Some days. There are certainly some days. He's
Is he your mom's absolutely not?
He is my mom's absolutely not. But what are you gonna do? He is still just as vocal. So what are you going to do? Episode 28, I talked about car washes and how I have to drive on these little tracks that look like they're barely going to fit my tire and someone's spraying my windshield so I can't even see.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here just like, kill me. Thank you. You talked about daylight savings time.
We were losing it at this point.
We were. What are you going to do? And then, as well as that, you talked about ads while on hold. So, whenever you get put on hold, just like having to listen to someone discuss advertisement and that kind of bullshit. No, thank you. Episode 29 was pretty just general, like driving. You were talking about a story about you were driving up to like Aurora and there was a lady who like almost crashed her car and then like tried to speed past you.
And she slammed into the snowbank.
Yes.
Wow. This is just a look back on my life last year.
And I got very heated about the keto diet.
Oh, yes. I remember this.
Mm-hmm. So that's all I looked up. I gave up after that because I was like, I spent so much time listening back to my own voice. But that was a little bit of the highlights of our Absolutely Not. I hope for those of you who've listened for a long time can talk about the other ones we've had.
I just have one more I have to add because I was looking. I try to take notes of ones I've used, and there's one that I saw that made me laugh out loud. And one of our Absolutely Nots was singing on Love Is Blind. And I just want to say that I follow Zach and what's her name?
Oh. I'm not gonna remember it.
That he still sings to her.
Oh no.
And I'm like, you're cute, but stop.
I've never wanted someone to sing to me.
So that's still an absolutely not for me. And I did want to mention Dan's absolutely not because his this is another one of his quotes. His absolutely not was Crocs in public. Keep the fucking dogs and the Crocs at home. To which I say, good life motto.
What an incredible quote, to be honest with you. I mean, I also agree with that one wholeheartedly.
Well, thanks for recapping our year with us today. Hopefully you really enjoyed our first season. We're going to again be coming back the beginning of October. Spooky season.
Spooky season is coming. There's going to be a few changes to the podcast, but we're excited to see it grow.
Yeah.
And you can grow with us. If you have any conspiracy ideas, absolutely not, anything like that, feel free to still send them our way. Our Twitter again is _EH with a pinned email if you would like to email us. That whole debacle in there, I've been checking it a lot. So
you know who you are.
You know who you are if you still listen to this podcast. After we roasted you. Anyways. So we can't wait to see you all again in October. Bye.
Bye.